Bamiyan seems peaceful, as if nothing had happened. It's hard to believe that things used to be different. It's an impressive sight, still, even though we have to imagine the Buddhas now. It hurts Saeed to be here because he helped blow up the Buddhas. The Taliban forced him to.
I knew what I was destroying, but what was I to do? I could only decide whether I wanted to live or die. Friends refused. I saw how the Taliban killed them.
The Buddhas were set up 1,500 years ago. It took decades. They were destroyed in mere seconds. That was in 2001. The world was shocked. The Taliban had blown up the Buddhas. Everything that was non-Islamic was to disappear forever.
After we had put the dynamite into the holes, we ran away as fast as we could. Then there was this massive explosion. I thought we had blown up the entire mountain. We could smell the dynamite.
In those days, Saeed says, hardly anyone lived in this valley. The people here belonged to the Hazara. Most of them had fled the Taliban. Saeed had stayed, thinking more about dying than surviving.
I think of the Buddhas every day, and of a friend who was supposed to help like me. He showed the Taliban his broken leg and said he wasn't able. They killed him. I had to carry him away. They forced me to put him in a well.
Forgetting what happened. That's not easy. The empty caves are just a look away, because Bamiyan is only small. He opened a small workshop down in the town. It's not a good job, and the money is just about enough. But that isn't so important, he says. Peace is the main thing.
Since the Taliban are gone, we feel safe. We have peace. We can move about freely, and we're not scared. We can go to work and go home. That's all.
I have to do some double takes. Sometimes it seems as if the rocks had faces, even though the Buddhas aren't here anymore. Hundreds of small caves burrow into the mountains. In the past, they were inhabited by monks who wanted to be close to the Buddhas. Today, they're home to the poor who can't afford anything else. We could envy them for their views, but to live here, that would be incredibly hard.
Welcome to Bamiyan. We're about to see the Buddha. Come with me. I'll show you a wonderful story.
Masuma always starts with those words. She guides tourists, and today she's taking us. When the Taliban blew up the Buddhas, she was still a child. She never saw the statues. Nevertheless, she likes this place.
When they blew up the Buddhas, they didn't just destroy statues. They tried to destroy our culture. Of course, that makes me angry. They destroyed everything, our culture and our traditions.
She's not here a lot. There aren't many tourists here. She speaks hardly any English, but she's had visitors from Britain and Canada. The way to the top isn't easy, but it's worth it. There's a lot to discover, such as the caves, painted by monks.
Look at the painted ceiling. They used oil paints. This is older than ancient Rome. Unfortunately, those figures are damaged. There's no one here to look after this place. But there are still lots of paintings that are very visible. That demonstrates what great artists they were.
Right at the top, at 35 meters, she's happy. Even though they can't be seen anymore, she's proud that the people of Bamiyan erected the statues. She'd like to tell this story a lot more often.
Unfortunately, I have to keep saying that the Taliban destroyed the Buddhas, and the Taliban still hasn't been defeated. They attack us with suicide bombers. The Taliban made sure that our whole country has a bad image in the world. People imagine that all Afghans ever think about is terrorism.
There are plans to rebuild the statues, but nobody knows how to pay for that. Masuma dreams of that as well, but she has her very own ideas.
Modern technology can't replace the old creativity. We have to rebuild them the way they were built in the past, by hand. It doesn't matter if it takes a long time.
It would take decades. Masuma's dream will probably never come true. Could modern people still build such statues? She would also be happy if things remained peaceful in Bamiyan, if more tourists came, amazed by the landscape. The mountains of Bamiyan are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's one of Afghanistan's most beautiful regions. Who here can think of war? The air is clean. It's lovely and quiet. In the winter, the guests can ski. In the summer, they can hike. Our trip takes us to Herat. Here are Afghanistan's artists. The citadel towers high above the town. It was built on the orders of Alexander the Great. Herat has always been a battlefield. There was Genghis Khan, the Uzbeks, the Soviets. They all came here. Roads and many interests cross in Herat. There were many reasons to be sad. And that's how we're greeted, with a sad song. It's about Laila and Majnun, an Afghan version of Romeo and Juliet. They're not allowed to love each other and are unhappy their whole lives. It's hard to imagine that they used not to be even allowed to sing. The Taliban banned music.
Songs are vital. They give us strength. When we're hungry, we eat. When we're thirsty, we drink. And when we're exhausted, we need music.
The most beautiful place in Herat, I think, is the Friday Mosque. It's wonderfully blue. I could stay here in awe for hours. The mosque is even older than Islam. It was built 1400 years ago as a Parsi temple. Bashir knows every corner, every stone. He's been working in the mosque since he was a child.
So much has been destroyed by the wars. They shot at the mosque with tanks and cannon. You can still see shell holes in places. We make sure that everything that was destroyed gets restored again. Some stones have been lost. We make new ones. It's an old skill. We do it by hand.
At the mosque, we look and are looked at. Many can hardly believe that we're making a film about Afghanistan, about the country with the sad songs. Or is there some happy music too?
درخت فروردین و شکوفش و جانم دامنیز گل دارم با شکست بیافشانم ای نسیم جان پرور امشب از برم بگذر ورنه این چنین پرگل تا سحر نمیمانم لا 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 لا.
The heart cries, and yet the face laughs. That's what it's about. It's cheerful, and yet it contains sadness. That fits in well with Afghanistan.